It was another hot day on the savannah, and all the animals were heading down to the watering hole. They were looking forward to drinking from the cool water in the shade of the baobab trees. Silo the lion cub, Hetty the hedgehog, Peter the panther and Gerry the giraffe were already sipping the water and playing around when a troop of baboons sauntered over. Lagging behind the troop was a smaller baboon who looked around at the already crowded watering hole, taking it all in. Talulah the baboon started to back away from the watering hole. Her mother noticed and pulled her along firmly. Talulah started to grunt in a low voice. Her mother threw her arm around Talulah's shoulder and guided her quickly to the watering hole, whilst Talulah was grunting and shaking. Talulah desperately wanted to please her mother, so she went along even though she felt overwhelmed. As they drew closer to the watering hole, the different noises from all the animals became unbearably loud. The splash of Silo's paws in the water, zebras chewing the grass nearby, and the wind rustling through the baobab trees. Looking around at the scene, Talulah froze. She felt scared to approach any further. Now Elle, who was the wise elephant of the savannah, and who was always there for the little ones to talk to, noticed that Talulah and her family had joined the watering hole. She looked on curiously as she saw that Talulah was not standing with her family and had not gone to approach the other savannah little ones. Elle sauntered over to Talulah. In a kind voice, she said, "Morning, Talulah. How are you today?" Talulah looked down and did not respond. Elle carried on talking. "It's such a hot day today. I'm sure that you're starting to feel a bit thirsty. Let's walk down to the water together." They strolled down and both took a deep, long drink. "Talulah, let's you and I go sit under the biggest baobab tree out of the sun." Talulah followed Elle and sat down heavily next to her. Gently, Elle asked, "Has something happened, Talulah? I noticed that you did not go over to the silo and the others." Talulah tried to answer, but could not find the words to explain to Elle what was happening. What she wished she could say was the sun was too hot, the noises were too loud, and the grass was pricking her like needles, and she could not join in because there would be an odd number of young ones. "No, nothing happened," Talulah said in a flat voice. Elle gently asked Talulah, "What about if we go over and say hello to the others?" Talulah liked this idea. She enjoyed climbing with her friends and was a good swimmer too. Talulah followed Elle over to Silo, Hetty, Peter and Gerry. They all shouted a chorus of hellos and invited her to splash around with them. Talulah watched them in silence, feeling, "The sun is too bright, the noises are too loud, the grass is pricking me like needles, and I can't join in because there will be an odd number." She took a step backwards. Before Elle could say anything, Talulah shouted, "Silo has to go." Everyone went silent and looked at Talulah. She repeated, "Silo has to go." Talulah's head was heavy and thick as she thought about the bright sun, the noises, the prickling grass, everyone looking at her, and the thought that everyone hated her. She felt like she was going to explode. Talulah's mum looked up in shock and shrieked, "Talulah, come over here now." After Talulah had had the opportunity to relax at home, she spoke with her mother about the day's events. The following day dawned cooler with low clouds hanging in the sky. At the watering hole, all the animals were gathered as usual, drinking and talking about life on the savannah. Elle saw Talulah and her family arrive and made her way over to see how Talulah was. Talulah turned her back on Elle as she approached. Elle ignored this and said, "Hello," in a friendly voice. Talulah's mum started to talk to Elle about what had happened the day before. She explained Talulah is autistic, which for Talulah means that she finds some sensations too much for her to cope with. She can also find it hard to predict what others may do or understand why they do what they do. so it's easier for her to use rules when she is with people. She continued, Talulah has a rule in her head that people are friends in pairs, and she could not join her friends yesterday because there would have been an odd number if she had joined in, and someone would have been left out. Ah, said Elle, turning to Talulah. I did not know this, Talulah. How brave of you to share your thoughts and feelings. Yesterday must have been very difficult for you. I'm so glad your mother has explained this. Elle continued, that is very caring of you to want to include everyone. However, I didn't know about this rule, and I don't think the others knew the rule either. Talulah turned around and looked at Elle, thinking to herself, I thought everyone has this rule. Elle carried on. Did you know, Talulah, that you can play in odd and even groups of friends? Talulah gave a slight nod. Elle then invited Talulah to come over when she was ready to play with the others, and, in her own time, she did. Take care. Bye.